Have you ever poured your soul into something, built it piece by painstaking piece, only to watch someone else step forward and claim it as their own? Feel that cold knot tighten in your gut, the injustice burn in your chest. That's where our story begins, in the sterile, buzzing heart of a modern office tower in Munich, where ambition and quiet dedication often clash. Angela Lehman was not loud. She wasn't a power networker or a backslapper. Angela was precise. She was the kind of analyst who found beauty in spreadsheets, who saw patterns others missed, who could distill complex data into elegant, actionable strategies. For months, she had been working on Project Nightingale, a proposal so comprehensive, so insightful, it promised to revolutionize the company's approach to market expansion. Late nights, early mornings, missed weekends. They were all woven into the fabric of this document. She knew its potential, felt the weight of its significance, not just for her career, but for the company she believed in. Her office was small, tucked away, filled with the quiet hum of her computer and stacks of research papers. She wasn't C-suite material yet, not in the eyes of those who only saw the surface. She was an analyst, diligent, reliable, often overlooked. But beneath the calm exterior was a fire, a fierce dedication to her work, and an unshakable belief in the value of truth, both in data and in professional conduct. Project Nightingale was her truth, the culmination of years of learning, observing, and analyzing. She had presented early findings, smaller components of the project, to her manager, Tobias Kruger. Tobias was a man who occupied space. He had a booming laugh, a confident stride, and a knack for making powerful people feel important. He managed projects, yes, but his true talent seemed to be in managing perceptions. He was the bridge between the analysts doing the grunt work and the executives making the decisions. Angela respected his position, initially. She trusted him with her ideas, shared her progress, saw him as a mentor. He had praised her early work, offering small, seemingly encouraging comments that now, in hindsight, felt like ownership markers being subtly laid down. He would say, "This is looking good, Angela. We are really on to something here." Or, "Make sure our proposal highlights X, Y, and Z." Little phrases that shifted the locus of creation from her singular effort to a collective, managed by him. It was insidious, almost undetectable at the time, cloaked in the language of collaboration. She had time-stamped every version of her document, a habit born of meticulousness, not suspicion. Every email detailing her progress, every shared folder update, every draft with her name clearly on the title page, these were just standard operating procedure for her. She didn't foresee betrayal, she simply valued accuracy and accountability. The final proposal was magnificent. A sleek presentation deck, a detailed financial model, a clear implementation plan. She sent the final version to Tobias on a Tuesday, a simple email titled, "Project Nightingale, Final Proposal, Ready for Review." A wave of exhaustion and quiet pride washed over her as she hit send. The hard part was done. Now came the presentation, the chance to finally share her vision with the company's leadership. She imagined herself standing there, explaining the data, answering questions, seeing her hard work finally recognized. The email confirming the board presentation arrived 2 days later. Angela's name was not on the list of presenters. Tobias Kruger's name was. The project title was slightly altered, made grander, more abstract. Strategic Vision 2030, Charting Our Future Growth. No mention of Project Nightingale. No mention of Angela Lehman, the project analyst who had lived and breathed this vision for months. A cold dread, sharp and sudden, pierced through the quiet pride she had felt just days earlier. She opened the attachment, the presentation deck Tobias would be using. It was her work. Every slide, every data point, every perfectly crafted sentence. Her charts, her analysis, her recommendations. Stripped of her authorship, rebranded under his name, part of his strategic vision. Her name was gone, replaced by his on the title slide. Her careful acknowledgments page, listing the data sources and her key assumptions, had been deleted. It was as if she had never existed, never toiled, never created. The injustice was a physical blow. Her hands trembled slightly as she scrolled through the slides, verifying what her eyes were telling her. There was no doubt. This was her proposal, stolen, packaged, and presented as his own. The anger was immediate, hot, and overwhelming. She wanted to march into his office, wave the original document in his face, scream, demand an explanation. But the cold dread lingered, tempered by a strategic calmness that was deeply ingrained in her nature. What would confronting him achieve? He would deny it, twist the narrative, make her seem hysterical or ungrateful. He held the position of power, the ear of the executives, her word against his. It was a familiar story in corporate environments, a story where the quiet, diligent contributor often lost to the charismatic credit taker. But Angela wasn't just a diligent contributor, she was a meticulous documentarian. As the initial surge of fury subsided, replaced by a quiet, steely resolve, her mind began to work, not on emotional retribution, but on undeniable evidence. She opened her project folder. There it was: Project Nightingale, Proposal, V Final, 2024, 5, 15, 14, 30, Docs, the timestamp clear, incontrovertible. She opened previous versions, tracing the evolution of the document, slide by slide, paragraph by paragraph. Her internal drafts, filled with her notes and comments, were stored securely. She cross-referenced key data points with her original research files, also dated and logged. Then, the email trail. The initial concept discussions, her progress updates, the final submission email to Tobias. Each message a breadcrumb, leading back to her as the sole architect of Project Nightingale. She worked methodically, calmly, building a case not with words, but with data, with timestamps, with digital fingerprints. There was no shouting, no dramatic confrontation in the hallway. There was just Angela, sitting at her desk, quietly assembling the truth. She knew she couldn't let this stand. It wasn't just about credit, it was about integrity, about the fundamental principle that work had value, and that value belonged to its creator. It was about preventing this from happening again, to her or to anyone else. She considered her options: go to HR? They might mediate, but the damage would be done. The board presentation would happen with Tobias taking the credit. Confront Tobias directly? Futile and likely detrimental. Go above Tobias? Yes, but how? Not with accusations alone, but with irrefutable proof, the CEO, the ultimate authority. But how to get their attention? Cut through the layers of bureaucracy and the noise of the office. She decided on a direct, concise, and evidence-based approach. No emotion, just facts. Just the truth, laid bare by the data itself. She spent the rest of that day and part of the next, not stewing in anger, but refining her evidence package. Screenshots of file properties showing creation dates. A timeline mapping the key milestones of the project linked to her dated emails and document versions. A clear comparison highlighting the identity between her final proposal and the presentation deck Tobias had distributed. It was a quiet act of rebellion, a silent assertion of ownership, executed with the precision of a surgeon. She wouldn't fight fire with fire, she would fight deception with truth, presented with undeniable clarity. The stack of evidence grew, physical and digital, a testament to months of work and moments of betrayal. She felt a strange calm settle over her as the package neared completion. It wasn't vengeful, it was necessary. Necessary for justice, necessary for her future, necessary for the principle of meritocracy she believed the company should uphold. The board presentation was scheduled for Friday morning. She had until then to make her move. She chose Thursday afternoon. Angela carefully assembled her evidence package. It wasn't a rambling complaint, it was a dossier. She created a concise, professional summary document outlining the project's history, her role, and the timeline of deliverables. Each point in the summary was cross-referenced with the attached files. There were screenshots of her original project proposal documents, showing the creation and modification dates, the file names clearly indicating her authorship. She included key emails exchanged with Tobias, where she discussed her progress, shared drafts, and finally, sent him the completed proposal. Each email had a timestamp, irrefutable proof of when the work was delivered and by whom. She also included a copy of the presentation deck Tobias had circulated, highlighting the subtle changes he had made, the title alteration, the removal of her name, the deletion of the acknowledgements page, juxtaposed against her original document. It was a quiet, devastating comparison. No need for accusations, the evidence spoke for itself. She saved everything into a single, well-organized digital folder, compressed for easy sending. She then drafted the email to the CEO. This was the critical piece. It couldn't be emotional, angry, or accusatory in tone. It had to be professional, factual, and respectful, yet convey the gravity of the situation. She wrote and rewrote the email, choosing every word with care. It was addressed directly to the CEO, Mr. Hauser, a man known for his demanding schedule but also, she hoped, for his integrity. The subject line was simple and direct. Information regarding Project Nightingale, Strategic Vision 2030 presentation. No sensationalism, just a clear identifier. The body of the email was equally concise. Dear Mr. Hauser, please find attached documentation pertaining to the development and authorship of the proposal currently scheduled to be presented to the board by Mr. Brezer. Tobias Kruger. As the lead analyst responsible for Project Nightingale, I believe this information is relevant to your understanding of the project's origins and timeline. The attached folder contains time-stamped documents, email correspondence, and draft versions tracing the project's development from conception to completion. I have also included a comparison highlighting the significant overlap between my final proposal and the presentation deck distributed by Mr. Kruger. I respectfully request your review of this material. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Angela Lehman, Project Analyst. She read it aloud, her voice steady. It was perfect. Factual, respectful, and presented the evidence without demanding a specific outcome, though the implication was clear. She attached the compressed folder containing all her meticulously gathered proof. Before hitting send, she paused. This was it. The quiet launch of a truth bomb into the corporate hierarchy. There was no turning back. Her heart pounded, a single, heavy beat in the silence of her small office. She took a deep breath and clicked send. The email vanished into the digital ether, a tiny, silent package carrying the weight of months of work and a significant ethical breach. Heading straight for the top, she didn't know how Mr. Hauser would react. Would he even see it? Would he dismiss it as a disgruntled employee's complaint? Would he understand the significance of the evidence? She could only wait. The tension was a live wire humming beneath her skin. She returned to her regular tasks, forcing herself to focus, but a part of her mind was fixated on the sent email, traveling through the company's network to the highest office. The clock ticked towards the end of the workday. No response. Not that she expected one immediately. CEOs were busy people, but the waiting was agonizing, a quiet storm brewing inside her. She left the office that evening, the weight of the day heavy on her shoulders, unsure of what the morning would bring, but certain she had done the right thing. She had spoken her truth, not with a shout, but with evidence. Mr. Hauser was indeed a busy man. His inbox was a constant deluge of reports, requests, and urgent matters demanding his attention. He scrolled through hundreds of emails a day, relying on subject lines and sender names to triage the flow. When Angela Lehman's email arrived, its simple, professional subject line initially blended into the background noise. A project analyst? Why was a project analyst emailing him directly about a board presentation managed by a department head? Curiosity, perhaps a fleeting moment of suspicion sparked by the unusual sender and the mention of a specific presentation, prompted him to open it. He read the short, factual email, his eyebrows drawing together slightly. Documentation pertaining to the development and authorship. That phrase caught his attention. Authorship? Was there an issue with the presentation he was scheduled to see tomorrow morning, the one Tobias Kruger was presenting? He clicked on the attached folder, his efficient mind already allocating a few minutes to quickly scan the contents. What he found stopped him cold. It wasn't a few documents. It was a meticulously organized collection of evidence. He opened the summary document first, its dry, professional tone listing dates, times, and document names. Then he started opening the attachments, cross-referencing them with the summary. The time-stamped documents, the email chain. The comparison highlighting the identical content between Angela's dated files and Tobias's presentation deck. He saw the creation dates on Angela's proposal documents, predating Tobias's presentation timeline. He saw the emails where she discussed the project in detail, clearly outlining her sole responsibility for its development. He saw the deliberate removal of her name from the final version. His initial mild curiosity turned into focused attention, then into growing alarm. This wasn't a minor misunderstanding. This was blatant, unethical theft of intellectual property, right under his nose, from a dedicated employee by a manager entrusted with leadership. Mr. Hauser was a man who valued competence and integrity above all else. He had built the company on those principles. Seeing such a clear violation, especially involving a critical board presentation, was not just disappointing, it was a fundamental challenge to the culture he fostered. He leaned back in his chair, the evidence package spread digitally before him. The precision of Angela's documentation impressed him. There was no drama, no histrionics in her presentation of the facts, just clear, undeniable proof. She hadn't demanded anything, hadn't even explicitly accused Tobias in the email body, she had simply presented the information for his review. This quiet strength, this reliance on truth, rather than emotion, resonated with him. It spoke volumes about Angela's character and her professional integrity. He immediately understood the implications. Tobias Kruger, a manager he had trusted, was about to present stolen work to the board as his own, potentially benefiting from another employee's months of effort. This was unacceptable. More than that, it revealed a deep flaw in the management structure and a potential culture of fear, where an employee felt the need to go directly to the CEO with such a matter, rather than feeling safe addressing it within their department. The board presentation was scheduled for tomorrow. He needed to act decisively, and he needed to act fast. He couldn't let Tobias present the stolen work. It would be a disservice to Angela, a misrepresentation to the board, and a stain on the company's reputation if it ever came to light externally. He closed the documents. The image of Angela's time-stamped file names burned into his mind. The quiet analyst in the small office had just, with a single email and undeniable evidence, triggered a seismic shift. He picked up his phone. The first call was to the head of HR. The second was to Tobias Kruger's direct supervisor, though Mr. Hauser knew he would handle this personally. Angela Lehman's name was now at the forefront of his mind, no longer just another name on a department roster, but the person who had quietly, bravely, and with meticulous care exposed a significant ethical breach and proven the value of her own unrecognized work. The quiet was broken. The ripples from Angela's single, silent email spread quickly, first through the executive floor, then cascading downwards. Mr. Hauser wasted no time. His call to the head of HR was direct and brief. "I need you in my office, now, and bring Mr. Kruger's personnel file." The tone left no room for questions. His subsequent call summoned Tobias Kruger himself, ostensibly for a final review of the presentation material. Tobias arrived, confident, oblivious, carrying his polished deck, ready for his moment in the spotlight. He was met not with a final review, but with Mr. Hauser, the head of HR, and a folder containing the undeniable truth. Mr. Hauser didn't shout. He didn't need to. He simply laid out the evidence, piece by piece. The time-stamped documents, the email trail, the comparison slides. Tobias's initial bluster and attempts at denial crumbled under the weight of the meticulously gathered facts. There was no explaining away the creation dates, the identical content, the deliberate removal of Angela's name. The color drained from his face as he realized the depth of the trap he had walked into. A trap not set by Angela with malice, but by his own actions and her quiet, unwavering commitment to documentation. The conversation was short and decisive. Plagiarism, especially of this magnitude and involving a board presentation, was an immediate termination offense. Tobias Kruger was escorted from the premises that afternoon, his career at the company ending, not with the applause he had envisioned, but with the quiet finality of a security guard standing by. The news of Tobias's sudden departure swept through the department like wildfire. Rumors flew, but the official reason given was simply a violation of company policy. For those like Angela, who knew the truth, there was a quiet sense of vindication. For others, there was confusion and speculation. The board presentation, scheduled for Friday morning, was abruptly postponed. A void was left where Tobias had been, a gap in the leadership structure. Meanwhile, Angela remained at her desk, working. The email she had sent felt like a lifetime ago. She hadn't heard anything directly. She didn't know what the outcome had been, only that Tobias was gone. She tried to focus on her work, but her mind raced. Had Mr. Hauser dismissed her evidence? Had Tobias resigned for unrelated reasons? The uncertainty was almost as difficult as the initial shock of the theft. She didn't seek out information, didn't participate in the office gossip. She simply continued her work, a quiet anchor in the swirling currents of speculation. She knew she had done the right thing, regardless of the outcome for her personally. Exposing the truth was paramount. As the day drew to a close, her phone rang. It was an internal call from an executive assistant she didn't recognize. "Ms. Lehman, Mr. Hauser's office is calling. Can you hold?" Angela's heart leaped into her throat. Mr. Hauser, the CEO, the man who had received her email, who now knew everything. She held the line, her hand trembling slightly. This was the moment of truth for her. Would she be reprimanded for going over her manager's head? Would she be thanked? Or would she simply be informed of the new reporting structure? The voice on the other end returned. "Ms. Lehman? Mr. Hauser would like to see you in his office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Do you need directions?" Directions? To the executive floor? Angela swallowed, her voice barely a whisper. "No, thank you. I know where it is. I'll be there." The call ended. She sat in the sudden silence of her office, the hum of the computer now seeming impossibly loud. She was going to see the CEO. The quiet, overlooked analyst was going to the top floor. The journey from injustice to potential resolution had reached its pivotal point. She didn't know what awaited her, but for the first time since discovering Tobias's betrayal, she felt a flicker of hope, small but persistent, like a candle flame in the dark. Walking onto the executive floor felt surreal. The carpets were thicker, the silence more profound, the air carrying the faint scent of expensive coffee. Angela, usually navigating the bustling, noisy lower floors, felt a sense of displacement. She clutched her notebook, a prop to ground her, though her mind was racing. The executive assistant greeted her warmly, a surprising contrast to the formal environment. "Mr. Hauser is expecting you, Ms. Lehman. Please, go right in." She nodded, her palms damp, and pushed open the heavy door to the CEO's office. Mr. Hauser's office was vast, filled with light and a panoramic view of the city. He was standing by the window, looking out, turning as she entered. He didn't sit behind his imposing desk. Instead, he gestured towards a comfortable seating area. "Angela, please, have a seat." His voice was calm, not what she had expected. She sat, feeling small in the large room, trying to read his expression. It was serious, but not stern. "Thank you for coming," he began, sitting opposite her. "And thank you for the information you sent me." He paused, meeting her gaze directly. "Your email and the documentation you provided were illuminating." He chose the word carefully. "I have reviewed everything thoroughly. Your work on Project Nightingale is exceptional. The depth of analysis, the strategic foresight. It's exactly the kind of thinking this company needs." Angela felt a blush creep up her neck. Praise from the CEO was not something she had ever anticipated. "Thank you, Mr. Hauser. More importantly," he continued, his tone shifting slightly, becoming more serious, "your integrity in handling this matter is commendable. You didn't come to me with accusations, you came with facts. Undeniable, meticulously documented facts. That tells me a great deal about your character." He leaned forward slightly. "Tobias Kruger is no longer with the company. His actions were a clear violation of our ethical standards." Angela nodded, a knot she hadn't realized was there beginning to loosen in her chest. I appreciate you looking into it, Mr. Hauser. It was necessary," he stated firmly. "Protecting the integrity of our work and ensuring that credit goes where credit is due is paramount. Your email allowed us to address a serious issue before it potentially impacted the board's decisions and damaged trust within the company." He then leaned back, a slight shift in his posture. "Now, about Project Nightingale. The board presentation was postponed because the planned presenter is no longer with us, but the project itself is too important to delay. It needs to be presented, and it needs to be led by someone who understands it inside and out, someone who built it from the ground up." He paused, a small, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips. "That person is you, Angela." Her breath hitched. "Me?" "Yes, you," Mr. Hauser confirmed. "You developed this vision. You have the knowledge, the skill, and clearly, the integrity required to lead it. Your proposal is not just a document, it's a strategic imperative for the company. I want you to present it to the board." Angela was stunned into silence. Present to the board? Her? The analyst from the lower floor? It felt impossible, a sudden leap from the shadows into the brightest spotlight. "Mr. Hauser, I'm a project analyst. I haven't." "You haven't presented to the board before?" he finished for her. "Perhaps not. But you have done the work. You have the knowledge. Presentation skills can be honed. What you bring, the intellect, the dedication, the integrity, those are far more valuable." He stood up and walked back towards his desk, picking up a folder. Tobias was the head of strategic initiatives for that department. With his departure, that position is now vacant. He walked back to the seating area and placed the folder on the coffee table between them. Angela saw her name on the tab. Angela Lehman, promotion review. Her eyes widened. "We need someone to step into that leadership role." Mr. Hauser continued, his voice calm and deliberate. "Someone who can champion this project, who can lead the team, and who embodies the values we want to see in our leadership. Based on your work on Project Nightingale, your handling of this situation, and the potential I see in you, the executive team and I would like to offer you the position of Head of Strategic Initiatives." Angela stared at the folder, then at Mr. Hauser, speechless. Head of Strategic Initiatives? Her? It was a jump of several levels, a position of significant authority and responsibility. It was the kind of opportunity people worked years, sometimes decades, to achieve. And it was being offered to her, the quiet analyst who had simply done her job and, when faced with injustice, had presented the truth with quiet dignity. The moment stretched, filled only by the distant sounds of the city below. Her journey from overlooked analyst to potential leader, catalyzed by the very act of betrayal she had exposed, was reaching its dramatic, unexpected climax. The silence in Mr. Hauser's office was profound, heavy with the weight of the offer. Angela's mind reeled. Head of Strategic Initiatives. It wasn't just a title, it was a shift in status, in responsibility, in her entire career trajectory. It was validation for every late night, every complex problem solved, every assumption challenged. It was the recognition of her intrinsic worth, brought to light not by seeking attention, but by upholding truth. She looked at Mr. Hauser, his expression one of genuine expectation. He wasn't offering this out of pity or as compensation for the injustice. He was offering it because he saw potential, competence, and integrity, qualities that he clearly valued more than superficial charisma or political maneuvering. She thought of Tobias, of the way he had so easily dismissed her contribution, assuming his position and privilege would shield him. His arrogance had been his undoing, contrasted with her quiet strength and meticulousness. It was a stark lesson in the difference between true value and perceived value. And now, her true value was being seen, acknowledged, and rewarded in the most significant way. Mr. Hauser? She finally managed, her voice trembling slightly with emotion. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept, he said, a warm smile finally breaking through his serious demeanor. Say you're ready to lead. Angela took a deep breath, letting the reality of the situation sink in. Was she ready? The suddenness was overwhelming. But then she thought of Project Nightingale, of the passion she had for its success, of the team members who had quietly supported her work, even if they didn't know the full extent of her authorship. She thought of the opportunity to build a team based on collaboration and respect, to foster a culture where ideas were valued regardless of where they came from, where credit was given fairly. She thought of the message this would send, that integrity matters, that diligence is seen, that even the quietest voice can be heard if it speaks the truth. Yes, she said, her voice gaining strength. Yes, I accept. I am ready to lead. A genuine smile spread across Mr. Hauser's face. Excellent. I have every confidence in you, Angela. The official announcement will be made internally this afternoon. We'll get the paperwork started immediately. We'll also schedule that board presentation for next week. You'll have support to prepare, of course, but the content is yours. Own it. He stood, extending his hand. Angela stood as well, shaking it firmly. His grip was strong, a symbol of the trust he was placing in her. Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you for seeing the truth. Thank you, Angela, he replied sincerely. You reminded me of something important, that sometimes the most valuable contributions come not from the loudest voices, but from the quietest, most dedicated people. And that true strength lies in integrity and courage. As Angela left his office, walking back through the hushed executive floor, she felt transformed. The weight of the past months, the injustice, the uncertainty, it had all lifted. She wasn't just an analyst anymore. She was a leader. She was seen. She was empowered. The quiet act of sending an email, armed only with truth and evidence, had reshaped her future and, perhaps, sent a powerful message throughout the company. That character, competence, and integrity would, in the end, prevail. The fight for recognition wasn't always won through shouting or confrontation, but sometimes, just sometimes, by quietly, meticulously, and bravely holding on to the truth of your own work and presenting it when it mattered most. The quiet had given way to a new kind of visibility, earned not by seeking the spotlight, but by standing firmly in the light of truth. Angela's first few weeks as head of strategic initiatives were a whirlwind. The transition was abrupt, but the underlying knowledge she possessed, the deep understanding of the projects within her purview, especially Project Nightingale, served as a solid foundation. The team she inherited was initially cautious, used to Tobias's different style of leadership, one focused more on external presentation than internal development. Angela approached them with humility and a focus on collaboration. She acknowledged the sudden change but quickly steered conversations towards the work, the goals, and the potential they had together. She made it clear that their contributions would be valued, their ideas heard, and their efforts recognized. She implemented new processes for documentation and project tracking, not just for accountability, but to ensure that every team member's work was clearly attributed and visible. It was a subtle but significant shift in culture, a direct response to the injustice she had experienced. The board presentation for Project Nightingale went flawlessly. Standing before the company's top leadership, Angela felt a surge of confidence. This wasn't Tobias's polished performance. It was her presentation of her work, delivered with the conviction of someone who knew every data point, every assumption, every strategic implication intimately. She answered questions with ease and authority, demonstrating not just technical expertise, but a clear vision for the future. Mr. Hauser watched from the side, a look of quiet satisfaction on his face. The board was impressed. Project Nightingale was approved, greenlit for implementation, with Angela Lehman leading the charge. Her promotion wasn't just a personal victory, it was a powerful signal within the company. People started to notice. The quiet analyst from the lower floors was now a key leader, driving a major company initiative. Her story, though not publicly sensationalized, became known in hushed tones: the stolen work, the quiet evidence, the CEO's decisive action, the unexpected promotion. It was a modern corporate fable whispered in hallways and break rooms, a story that gave hope to those who felt unseen or undervalued. Angela didn't dwell on the past or on Tobias's betrayal. She focused on the future, on building a successful project, on leading her team effectively, and on fostering an environment where integrity and merit could thrive. She ensured her team received recognition for their efforts, highlighting individual contributions in reports and meetings. She became a mentor to junior analysts, encouraging them to document their work, to speak up, and to trust in the power of their own efforts. The department, once characterized by a degree of caution under Tobias, began to flourish, becoming more innovative, more collaborative, and more open. Angela's leadership style was firm but fair, demanding excellence but providing support and clear direction. She proved that leadership wasn't about taking credit, but about empowering others and driving results through genuine effort and shared success. Her journey from the overlooked analyst to the respected head of strategic initiatives was a testament to the power of quiet resilience, the importance of documenting your truth, and the potential that lies dormant in those who are often underestimated. She hadn't sought power or recognition for its own sake. She had simply sought justice and the opportunity to see her vision through. And in doing so, she had found both, and much more. The implementation of Project Nightingale was a success. Under Angela's leadership, the initiative met its key milestones, exceeding expectations and demonstrating the validity of her original strategic vision. The success further solidified her position and reputation within the company. She was no longer seen as simply the person who exposed Tobias Kruger, but as a highly capable leader who delivered tangible results. Her team was motivated and high-performing, a direct reflection of her leadership style which prioritized trust, transparency, and shared ownership. She had created a microculture within her department that stood in quiet contrast to the more political or hierarchical dynamics found elsewhere. The message sent by Mr. Hauser's swift action and Angela's subsequent promotion resonated throughout the organization. While corporate politics never completely vanished, there was a renewed emphasis on integrity and ethical conduct, particularly regarding intellectual property and the fair attribution of work. Employees felt a renewed sense of possibility, seeing Angela's journey as proof that hard work and talent, when coupled with integrity, could indeed be recognized and rewarded at the highest levels. Angela herself underwent a profound transformation. The initial shock and hurt of the betrayal had been replaced by a quiet confidence. She had faced a significant challenge to her professional identity and had overcome it, not by force, but by strategic truth. She learned that her meticulous nature, once just a personal trait, was a powerful tool for self-preservation and justice. She learned the importance of trusting her instincts and standing up for her work, even when it felt daunting. She also learned that true allies, like Mr. Hauser, were those who valued substance over appearance, who were willing to look beyond the surface and see the underlying truth. Her relationship with Mr. Hauser evolved beyond that of CEO and department head. He became a mentor, recognizing her strategic thinking and seeking her input on broader company initiatives. She, in turn, admired his decisiveness and his commitment to upholding the company's values. Their partnership, forged in the aftermath of an ethical breach, became a quiet force for positive change within the organization. Angela Lehman's story wasn't just about one person's rise, it was about the quiet revolution that occurs when integrity is rewarded, when diligence is seen, and when the truth, armed with evidence, is allowed to prevail. It was a reminder that sometimes, the most powerful actions are not the loudest ones, but the ones taken with quiet conviction and undeniable fact. Her journey inspired others, proving that being overlooked was not a destiny, but a temporary state that could be overcome by the power of one's own work and the courage to protect it. She continued to lead, to innovate, and to mentor, embodying the principles that had led to her extraordinary rise. Angela became a respected figure, not just within her department, but across the company. She was sought out for her strategic insights and her approach to leadership. Her team consistently delivered high-quality work, and the morale within her department was noticeably higher than in many others. She fostered an environment of open communication and mutual respect, proving that a different kind of leadership was possible, one based on empowering others rather than controlling them. She often spoke, in internal forums, about the importance of documentation and clear communication, subtly weaving in the lessons learned from her own experience without making it about herself or the past conflict. She focused on the positive aspects: how clear documentation protects everyone, how attributing work fairly builds stronger teams, and how transparency fosters trust. These weren't just corporate buzzwords for her, they were principles she had fought for and lived by. Her rise had a ripple effect beyond her immediate team. Other managers, taking a cue from Mr. Hauser's actions and Angela's success, began to re-evaluate their own leadership styles. There was a tangible shift towards valuing tangible contributions and intellectual property. The quiet power of Angela's story continued to resonate, reminding people that even in a large organization, individual integrity and the quality of one's work could ultimately lead to recognition and advancement. She became an informal mentor to many employees, particularly women and those in less visible roles, offering advice and encouragement based on her own journey. She emphasized the importance of believing in your work, documenting your process, and finding ways to ensure your contributions were visible, not through self-promotion, but through the clarity and quality of the work itself. She never forgot where she came from, the small office, the feeling of being overlooked. This memory fueled her commitment to ensuring that others on her team and throughout the company felt seen and valued. Project Nightingale continued to evolve under her guidance, expanding in scope and impact, becoming a cornerstone of the company's long-term strategy. Angela Lehman, the analyst who had almost been erased, was now writing a significant chapter in the company's future. Her journey was a testament to the idea that integrity is not just a moral principle, but a powerful professional asset, and that sometimes the most impactful way to fight injustice is not with noise and fury, but with quiet strength, undeniable truth, and the unwavering belief in the value of your own creation. The impact of Angela's story extended beyond the company walls. While the details remained internal, the outcome, a diligent employee's rise to leadership after overcoming an ethical challenge, became a case study in quiet resilience and corporate integrity. Within the company, Mr. Hauser often referenced the importance of fostering a culture where every contribution is seen and valued, a clear nod to the events that had transpired. He empowered Angela to champion initiatives focused on talent development and mentorship, recognizing her unique perspective as someone who had navigated the path from obscurity to leadership. Angela used this platform to advocate for processes that ensured fair credit and visibility for all employees, regardless of their position. She introduced initiatives like mandatory peer reviews with clear attribution, standardized project documentation protocols, and mentorship programs specifically designed to support employees in less visible roles. These programs were met with enthusiasm by the workforce, who saw them as a direct response to the need for a more equitable and transparent environment. Her department continued to be a benchmark for success, attracting top talent within the company and becoming a model for collaborative and high-integrity work. Angela's leadership style was consistently praised for its effectiveness and its human-centered approach. She had not only recovered from a personal betrayal, but had used the experience to become a catalyst for positive organizational change. She proved that leadership wasn't just about achieving business objectives, but about creating a culture where people felt safe, respected, and empowered to do their best work. Her story was a powerful counter-narrative to the cynical view that only aggression and self-promotion lead to success in the corporate world. It showed that quiet dedication, integrity, and a belief in the power of truth could not only protect you, but propel you forward. Angela Lehman, the once overlooked analyst, had become a symbol of hope and a testament to the enduring power of doing the right thing, quietly, powerfully, and with unwavering conviction. Her legacy within the company would be defined not just by the success of Project Nightingale, but by the culture of integrity and recognition she helped to build. Angela's journey continued to unfold, each success building upon the foundation of integrity she had laid. She mentored many employees, sharing her experience not as a tale of woe, but as a lesson in professional resilience and the power of documentation. She often told them, "Your work is your voice. Make sure there's a clear record of it." This simple advice, born from her own experience, empowered others to take ownership of their contributions and protect their intellectual property. She became a sought-after speaker at internal conferences, discussing leadership, innovation, and ethical conduct. Her talks were always grounded in practical advice and heartfelt conviction, resonating deeply with employees at all levels. She didn't preach, she shared lessons learned, making abstract concepts like integrity tangible and actionable. Mr. Hauser remained a strong supporter, relying on her judgment and entrusting her with increasingly complex and important initiatives. Their professional relationship was a testament to the power of a perceptive leader recognizing and empowering hidden talent. Angela's presence on the executive floor wasn't about fitting in with a pre-existing mold. It was about bringing her authentic self, her quiet strength, and her unwavering principles to bear on the company's challenges. She proved that diverse leadership styles were not only valuable but essential for a thriving organization. The department she led became a shining example of how fostering a culture of trust and recognition could lead to exceptional performance and employee satisfaction. The principles she championed, clear attribution, collaborative credit, ethical conduct, weren't just policies, they were embedded in the daily interactions and operations of her team. Angela Lehman's story is a powerful reminder that character is built in the quiet moments, and that true professional success is not just about titles or power, but about the impact you have and the values you uphold. She took a moment of deep injustice and transformed it into a catalyst for personal growth and positive organizational change. She showed that sometimes, the greatest strength lies not in the loudest protest, but in the quiet, unwavering presentation of the truth. Her legacy is one of empowerment, integrity, and the enduring power of believing in the value of your own work, even when others try to diminish it. Her journey serves as an inspiration, a beacon for anyone who feels overlooked or unheard, a testament to the fact that your work matters, your integrity matters, and your truth, when presented with conviction and evidence, can indeed change everything. It is a story about finding your voice, not by raising its volume, but by strengthening its foundation with undeniable fact and unwavering belief in yourself. Angela continued to rise, not just within her company, but becoming a recognized voice in her industry. Her innovative approach to strategic planning and her ethical leadership style garnered attention beyond Munich. She was invited to speak at industry conferences, sharing her insights on building high-performing teams and fostering cultures of integrity. While she never publicly detailed the specifics of Tobias's betrayal, her speeches often touched upon the importance of recognizing individual contributions, the value of clear documentation, and the ethical responsibility of leaders to protect the work of their teams. These themes resonated powerfully with audiences, many of whom had experienced similar situations or aspired to create more equitable workplaces. She became a role model for aspiring professionals, particularly those from underrepresented groups, demonstrating that success was achievable through merit, hard work, and upholding one's values. Her influence grew, impacting not just her own company, but contributing to a broader conversation about ethics and leadership in the corporate world. She used her platform to advocate for systemic changes that would protect employees' intellectual property and ensure fair recognition for their work. She collaborated with HR departments and legal teams within her company and advised other organizations on implementing policies that promoted transparency and accountability. Project Nightingale continued to be a benchmark for success, its enduring positive impact a constant reminder of Angela's original vision and leadership. The team she built remained loyal and high-performing, a testament to the environment of trust and respect she cultivated. Angela Lehman's journey was far from over, but she had already achieved something remarkable. She had taken a moment of personal violation and turned it into a force for widespread positive change. She had proven that the quiet strength of integrity and the power of documented truth could overcome even the most cynical attempts at theft and erasure. Her story serves as a powerful affirmation that upholding your values and believing in the intrinsic worth of your work can lead to unimaginable opportunities and the ability to make a meaningful impact. It is a story about how one person, armed with evidence and quiet courage, can not only reclaim their own narrative, but inspire others to do the same. Proving that the most valuable assets in any organization are often found not in the loudest voices, but in the quiet dedication and unwavering integrity of its people. Her legacy is a blueprint for ethical leadership, and a powerful reminder that truth, supported by evidence, will always find a way to rise. Angela Lehman's story is more than just a corporate success tale. It's a powerful lesson about the nature of integrity, the quiet strength of documentation, and the potential that lies dormant within those who might seem unassuming. Her journey from the overlooked analyst, whose brilliant work was stolen, to the respected head of strategic initiatives and industry voice, is a testament to the fact that while betrayal can happen, it does not have to define you. Angela chose a different path than anger or resignation. She chose meticulousness, evidence, and a quiet presentation of the truth to the person with the power to act. This strategic calm, this reliance on undeniable facts rather than emotional appeals, was her most powerful weapon. It demonstrated not only her professional competence, but also her remarkable character. Mr. Blanc's 8.10. Hauser's role as the perceptive authority figure is equally critical. He represents the possibility of a system working as it should, of leadership that is willing to look beyond appearances, to listen to the quiet voice armed with truth, and to act decisively based on evidence. His willingness to trust the data and the character it revealed in Angela stands in contrast to Tobias's assumption that position and presentation were enough. The antagonist, Tobias, serves as a clear example of the consequences of unethical behavior. His focus on taking credit rather than creating value ultimately led to his downfall, exposed not by a dramatic confrontation, but by the quiet, irrefutable trail of evidence left by the person whose work he stole. Angela's story teaches us that your most valuable asset is not always your network or your ability to self-promote, but often your integrity, your dedication, and your ability to quietly, meticulously document your contributions. It shows that being overlooked is not a permanent state, and that truth, when presented with conviction and evidence, has a power that can pierce through deception and injustice. It is an inspirational reminder that even in the face of frustrating obstacles and disheartening betrayals, believing in the value of your work, documenting your truth, and choosing a path of integrity can lead to unexpected opportunities and the chance to create meaningful, lasting change. Angela's commitment to integrity and recognition continued to shape her leadership and her impact on the company. She became a champion for ethical behavior and a vocal advocate for fostering a culture where employees felt safe to speak up about concerns without fear of retaliation. Her own experience had taught her the critical importance of having channels through which truth could reach those in power. She worked with Mr. Pausenstadt Hauser to strengthen the company's ethics reporting mechanisms and to ensure that whistleblowers were protected and their concerns were taken seriously. She understood that while her direct appeal to the CEO had worked for her, not everyone would have that opportunity, or the specific kind of evidence she possessed. Therefore, creating systemic safeguards was crucial. She often mentored employees who were facing similar challenges, not necessarily theft of work, but issues of unfairness, lack of recognition, or navigating difficult professional relationships. Her advice was consistently grounded in the principles of documentation, clear communication, focusing on the work itself, and finding trusted allies or formal channels to address issues. She emphasized that advocating for yourself wasn't about being aggressive, but about being prepared and standing firm in your truth. Her story became a powerful internal narrative, shared as an example of the kind of values the company aspired to uphold and the kind of leaders it sought to cultivate. Angela Lehman, the quiet analyst who had saved her work from being stolen, had become a symbol of corporate resilience and ethical leadership. Her legacy was not just the success of Project Nightingale, but the tangible improvements in company culture she helped bring about, the employees she mentored and empowered, and the enduring message that integrity and diligence are not just virtues, but keys to unlocking potential and achieving true, meaningful success. Her journey was a powerful affirmation. Your work is valid, your truth matters, and quiet strength, when combined with unwavering integrity, can indeed be a force that changes the world around you, one meticulously documented step at a time. It's a story about believing in yourself, even when others don't see you, and proving that the quietest voices, when armed with truth, can resonate the loudest. Have you ever felt overlooked, unseen, or had your efforts minimized? Angela Lehman's story is a powerful reminder that the quietest acts of integrity can have the most profound impact. She didn't need a loud confrontation. She needed meticulous evidence and the courage to present it. Her journey teaches us that diligence, honesty, and believing in the value of your own work are not just personal virtues, but powerful professional assets. If you take nothing else from this, remember this: document your work, know your worth, and never let anyone else claim the truth of your effort. The most valuable asset you have is your integrity, and your most powerful tool against injustice can sometimes be simply presenting the undeniable facts. Be like Angela. Be precise. Be quiet. Be undeniable. Share this story to remind someone that their hard work is seen, their integrity matters, and their truth has power. Remind them that being overlooked is not an end, but a challenge they can overcome, one documented achievement at a time.